Irashaimase. Welcome to Simply Sushi. Hello, my name is Steven Pallet and I thank you for joining this program. Today we're going to look at everything you'll need to know in order to successfully make sushi in your own home. Sushi is colourful, delicious and truly an art form, and whilst it may take years for the professional chef to master, it can be fun and easily achieved at home. There are four main types of sushi: nigiri sushi, maki sushi, oshi sushi and chirashi sushi. Let's have a look at some of the equipment you might need in order to help you do the job. Here we have a rice cooker. If you don't have one, it's a worthwhile investment because this makes perfect rice every time. Our bamboo rolling mat. We have a sturdy, strong chopping board, a selection of knives. The main requirement is that they're very sharp. Some fish tweezers to help remove bones. Over here is a hangiri. It's a traditional vessel for tossing the sushi rice. Here is a flat wooden spoon in order to help toss the rice, and then simply a fan in order to help to cool it back to room temperature. Some of the essential traditional ingredients you will need are rice vinegar, mayonnaise, mirin, shiitake mushroom, soy sauce, sake, wasabi, dashi granules, sushi rice, pickled ginger, ao nori, nori seaweed, kampyo and kombu seaweed. You'll find all of these ingredients readily available from specialist Japanese food stores or Asian food markets. Well, we've seen some of the ingredients that we'll be needing to make our sushi at home and some of the equipment that'll help us do the job. But most importantly, what's missing is the seafood. Let's go down to the fish market and I'll show you what to look for in choosing the very best seafood for our sashimi and sushi. Well, here we are at the market. It's so exciting. I love it. When you come to purchase your seafood, there'll always be an expert to help you, like Peter here. Hello, Peter. How are you?
Good, Stephen. Yourself?
Good, thank you. I'm after some seafood for sushi and sashimi. What have you got for me today?
I've got some red emperor put aside for you.
Wow, could I take that? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful, firm flesh, plump, bright eyes. Let's have a look at the gills inside. They should be lovely and red. Yes, they are. And funnily enough, fresh fish doesn't smell fishy at all. Sweet smell of the ocean. That's beautiful. Peter, if you could fillet that for me, that'd be great.
Yep, okay.
Most fishmongers also have a pre-selection of sashimi cut fish ready for your sushi and sashimi. Let's have a look. Well, here it is. Sashimi quality cuts of seafood. There's ocean trout, yellow-tailed kingfish, king dory and bluefin tuna. How beautiful. Peter, could I have a look at a piece of yellow-tailed kingfish, please?
Yep, okay, Stephen. There you go.
How lovely. Thank you. A very important part of the sushi chef's 5-year apprenticeship in training for sushi is to be able to identify the best seafood. Here we have a beautiful firm flesh. There's no smell at all. We have a beautiful red bloodline. Peter, anything else we need to be aware of?
Yeah, the fillet should not be sticky at all.
Not sticky, and indeed it's not. That's just fabulous. Peter, if I could have, say, 2 fillets of that, 2 more of the ocean trout, I'll have 1 of king dory, and if I could have that large bluefin tuna fillet as well, thank you.
Okay, I'll get it ready for you.
Thanks very much. Well, we've chosen our seafood. Let's get it back to the kitchen. Folks, we're back here now with our beautiful selection of seafood. Doesn't that look wonderful? We're going to look at sashimi first before we get on to sushi because that's a prerequisite in the sushi training. Sashimi simply is raw seafood or lightly cooked, served on its own. Sashimi comes from 2 words, sasu to cut and mi the flesh. Now we're going to slice the fish. Needless to say, you'll need a very sharp knife. There are 5 basic cuts and I'll demonstrate them now. Here I have some beautiful tuna, and the first cut that we're going to look at is known as hirazukuri, which means a rectangular cut. We slice from the right-hand side, and when you're slicing, use a drawing, pulling motion, never sawing. We start at the heel of the knife and we move to the tip. So here we go. Straight down and across. Straight down and across. The general rule when you're slicing your fish is the softer the flesh, the thicker the slice can be. The firmer the fish, then of course you'll need to slice it more thinly. Keep wiping your board down in between seafoods so that we don't cross-transfer any flavours. The next cut that I'll demonstrate here with this beautiful fillet of salmon will be known as sogigiri. It's an angled cut, and this time we go from the left-hand side of the fillet. Again, this is a soft fish, so I know that I can simply go at about 1/2 centimetre in thickness, and it will be beautiful to eat. The next cut that I'll demonstrate is known as usuzukuri, which means paper thin cut. Here we have some kingfish, and typically with the usuzukuri cut, it's used on white fish that's firm and it's paper thin. It's similar to the sogigiri cut, where it's cut from the left-hand side at an angle. This time it's only going to be 2 millimetres in thickness rather than with the sogigiri, which was typically 1/2 centimetre. Further to this, there is another cut. It's known as kakugiri or cube cut. Here I have some tuna which has been pre-cut. It's about 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres, and typically what I'll do is I'll take some nori seaweed just for some presentation. I'll wrap the tuna in the seaweed, just follow it around, cut off the excess seaweed here. And what we'll do is we'll just leave that aside for a moment so that the moisture can seep through to seal it together, and then we're simply going to cut across in order to yield our cubes. The final cut is known as itozukuri. Ito means thread cut. It's most suitable for squid or firm flesh fish such as garfish or sand whiting. Typically in this situation we're going to take the tip of our knife and just run it through at about 1/4 centimetre in order to yield our strips. And that's simply itozukuri. Now, here we have our basic cuts. We have hirozukuri, rectangular cut, sogigiri, the angle cut mostly used for nigiri sushi. We have usuzukuri or paper thin cut, and we have kakugiri, which is our cube cut, the tuna in the seaweed, and I'll shortly cut those into dice, and itozukuri or thread cut of the squid. With the squid, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of flying fish roe or tobiko. Here I have my presentation platter. And over here I have a variety of what's known as tsuma, which means the garnishes that go with the sashimi. Typically you'll find that there's various vegetables and leaves or herbs from the garden, and they're the ones that we're going to use just to make a beautiful decoration over here. Typically you'll have something at the back upon which the fish will lean to. Here I have some shredded daikon or long white radish. Against this, I might use a bamboo leaf as a garnish. Now, I'll take the hirozukuri cut of tuna and just simply lean that up against my leaves Next we have our salmon, which is sogigiri cut, the angled cut. And for presentation, what I might do is make a little rosette. Simply all you do is just lay it out, slightly overlapping. And we're going to roll it all up. And just keep it nice and loose. Pop that up here onto our presentation platter. We have usuzukuri cut of the kingfish here. As a variation also, what we might do is just simply take these, and I have a little bit of chives which I've pre-cut, and we can take a few of these chives into each one and then just roll them up. And then we'll position these onto our platter. Next we have kakugiri, our tuna, which is wrapped in seaweed. This will just simply slice into dice, going straight across and down. These, if we turn them face upright, ready for presentation. Lastly, we have our itozukuri cut of the squid, which I've mixed with tobiko. This will just position onto the platter. And now we'll just finish it off with a little bit more garnish. So typically I'll have a little bit of grated daikon here, which I might pop a little bit onto the usuzukuri, just to give it another added flavour. We have some little butterflies, which we can just put around, that's the vegetable component, just to make it a little bit more. Maybe a little maple leaf here or there. Really, it's up to you. You can garnish it with whatever might suit your particular eye, but you're looking for a variety of colour to make it more interesting. Typically we finish it with a little bit of wasabi on the right-hand corner, and there we have our presentation for sashimi. With Japanese aesthetic, quite simply it's going to be served with some soy sauce as the only accompaniment. When we're ready to eat, we simply take a little wasabi, not too much because it's very hot. We're going to mix it into our soy sauce, and then you just take your seafood and pass it through and eat it directly. Itadakimasu, which is bon appetit. Beautiful. Well done everybody, you've successfully achieved your sashimi, and now we're going to graduate to preparation of the sushi rice, otherwise known as shari or sushi meshi. This is the most important step. Firstly, we're going to take our rice, cook the rice, and then we're going to, whilst it's hot, tip it out into a large container and fan through a pre-prepared solution of vinegar, sugar and salt. Always use short grain white rice for your sushi presentation. Hajime mashou. Let's start. We need to take some water and pour it over our rice. Just gently massage the grains of rice, and what we're trying to do is release the external starch on the grain into the liquid. This will be evidenced by the liquid becoming very milky. Very gentle motion, I'm just going like this with my hand. And now we're going to tip this off. And we leave about 1 cup of water in here, and now we're going to start massaging the grains of rice. Whilst there's a little amount of liquid here, there's more opportunity for the grains to knock against each other and then further release more external starch into the liquid. The reason we're doing this is so that we don't end up with what the Japanese call smelly rice. We don't want to have a sticky, gluey starch on top of the cooked rice at the end. Now we're going to add some more water to this. Gently massage around. All the starch is going into the liquid. And now we're going to tip this off and repeat the process again. Again, you leave about 1 cup of water and then off we go. In the home situation, if you feel more comfortable, just simply hold your fingers straight and work it around like this and you'll achieve the same result. Don't be too fierce with your movements because we don't want to end up with broken rice. Okay, let's put some more water on top. We're going to massage this around and then we'll tip it off once more. Some more water and another gentle massage. By now you can see the water's almost clear. And it'll be ready for cooking. We'll tip this one off, all the water completely. Now we have our washed rice, and what we need to do is put it into our rice cooker with a pre-measured amount of our water, 1.1 litres to 4 cups of short grain white rice with a piece of kombu seaweed. Simply place it into the pot. The water goes in, the kombu seaweed's in. Lid on, put the switch on, and it's away cooking. Now we're going to prepare the vinegar solution. You'll need to have a small pot. You have your pre-measured amount of vinegar, sugar and salt, 100 ml of vinegar, 60 grams of sugar and 20 grams of salt. Simply all we need to do is combine it into the pot, all together, and then we'll stir it together, put it over to a low flame, gently heat it through just in order to dissolve the granules, and then it will be ready to use. The vinegar solution has now been dissolved and cooled and our rice is cooked. And what we need to do is tip our rice out into a large container. Here I'm using a traditional hangiri tub, and we're going to fan through the vinegared solution. On no account, tip this vinegared solution in here and stir it because you're going to end up with glue. We need to discard the kombu seaweed, and then we'll pick this up and then tip it all out. We take our vinegared solution and we're going to pour it over the spatula to evenly disperse it around the rice. And now we'll make some vertical cutting motions, top to bottom and then left to right, in order to single out the grains of rice and start to spread the rice. Now we push it all over to one side, and we're going to use a horizontal cutting lifting motion, and what we're hoping to achieve is that each grain of rice, whilst it's hot, has an opportunity to absorb that flavoured seasoned liquid. So cutting lifting motion, never just stirring, and then push it all over to the other side. If you have any lumps, just work at them with the vertical motion. So cutting, lifting. And now we're going to turn the bowl around and we'll start again. Be very gentle at this stage. You don't want to smash the grains of rice. If you don't have a traditional hangiri tub at your home, just substitute with something from your kitchen, but the widest possible container that you may have. Let's turn it around once more. And this will be the final time. Typically when you find that the rice starts to tighten a little bit to this action, then it's time to stop. And now we just simply spread the rice out gently, evenly across the tub, and we're going to give it an opportunity to cool down. Typically at this time, we use a fan in order to help with that cooling process. And what we need to do is bring the temperature of the rice to room temperature, so it'll be just barely warm. Whilst we're fanning the rice, I'd like to mention you can purchase from the Asian food stores a pre-made vinegar solution. So here in this bottle, this is a Mitsukan brand sushi vinegar solution. It already has its own flavouring of vinegar, sugar and salt, but what you'll find is it might be in a different ratio to that which I've given to you in my recipe in the book. You'll need to have a taste and see if that's to your liking. Also available is a powdered version. This one you'll need to be very careful with because there's no guarantee that you can evenly spread it through the rice. And what you might find is that there'll be pockets of strong flavour and others with none. Now with the back of your hand, we just feel the rice, that's beautiful. And now we're going to scoop and turn the whole lot. And what we need to now do is give an opportunity for the bottom heat also to be fanned to cool down. Again, just the back of your finger. Yep, that's beautiful. So now we stop the fanning process, and what we need to do is to tip it out into a bowl and cover it over with a damp cloth. By now you'll realise this rice is incredibly sticky. So a damp cloth nearby will help so that you don't end up with rice sticking all over you. I'm just simply picking up the remains here, also to go into the bowl. Well done. Now we're just going to take our damp cloth, we'll cover it over and congratulations, you've successfully prepared your sushi rice. Well, Simply Sushi is all about sushi, and we're going to start now with nigiri sushi, the sovereign of the sushi world. They're small fingers of rice, about 20 grams in weight, with a seafood topping. The key to making good nigiri is the balance between the topping and the rice, and just enough pressure to hold the shape together, but allowing it to collapse in the mouth when eating. Before we start, we need to make sure that we're set up correctly: a chopping board, a sharp knife. You'll need some prepared wasabi. You'll need to have some tezu or hand vinegar water because the rice is very sticky. You have your prepared sushi rice and a selection of seafood. Now we need to slice our topping in order to prepare our nigiri sushi. I have here some tuna fillet. We're going to cut this soggy giri style, so an angled cut. Firstly, put your hands in the water, rub your hands together, just clap off the excess. Now you're going to need to pick up about 1.5 tablespoons of the sushi rice, and you're just moving it gently in your hand to form an oblong shape. Take your pre-sliced seafood and just place it across your fingers of the left hand. Now, holding the rice in the palm of your hand, use the index finger of your right hand and place a smear of wasabi onto the seafood. Place the rice on top of this and then depress it with your left thumb. At the same time, you're going to press with the thumb of the right hand and the index finger of the right hand. Now, we're going to place the right index finger over the top of the rice with a gentle pressure. And at this stage, the fingers of your left hand have curled up to hold the shape of the rice. Now we just simply roll the lot over to the end of the fingers, and as we move it back, we gently squeeze it together. Left thumb indents in, right index finger, little pressure over the top. Turn it round gently in your hand, left thumb under, right index finger on top, and there we have nigiri sushi. Let's repeat the process once more. Remember to wet your hands, shake off any excess. We're picking up about 1.5 tablespoons of our rice. The slice of seafood in the left hand, don't put it on the palm of your hand because it's too hot. With our right index finger, a little wasabi over the top of the seafood. Rice goes on top of this. We're going to depress the rice with our left thumb, and now the ends we're going to push in with our right thumb and right index finger. The fingers of the left hand should be curled up now to hold the rice. Roll the lot over so they're at the end of your fingers, and then to bring it back, gently squeeze it. Left thumb goes under, right index finger on top to just give a little pressure. Turn it round, squeeze gently, left thumb under, and there we have it. So here we have 2 little nigiri sushi. Well done. Now we're going to do the same thing again, but this time with salmon. Place your fillet on the board, 2 cuts, soggy giri style, angled cut from the left-hand side. Wet your hands with the tezu, clap off any excess. Take up your rice, about 1.5 tablespoons in your right hand, slice of fish in your left, a little dab of wasabi into the centre, pop the rice on top of that, and now we're going to simply depress with the left thumb, using our right hand, firm in the ends, and now we're going to place our right index finger over the top with a little bit of pressure, firming up the top with your left thumb. Turn the whole lot over, and then we're going to firm the sides in, pushing it back along to the end of the fingers. Firm the end in, across the top with your right index finger, turn it round, across the top with your right index finger, and there we have our nigiri sushi. Let's repeat that once more. Wet your fingers, clap off any excess, take up your rice, pick up your seafood. Little bit of wasabi goes down, and then firm down your rice, turn it over, whilst it's up here, a little squeeze on either side as you bring it back, and then left thumb indents underneath, right index finger with a little pressure over the top, turn it round gently. Again, left thumb indents, right index finger over the top. And there we have our salmon nigiri. Whilst we're on a good thing, we're going to do it one more time. This time I have some yellowtail. So again, place it onto your board. We're going to do sogigiri cut again. Wet your hands. Take up a little rice. Take up the slice of seafood. A little wasabi goes down, and then the rice goes on top. Firm with your thumb, firm in the ends with your right hand, and then right index finger over the top to put some pressure on, then turn it over so it's up the tip of your fingers, little squeeze as it comes back. Indent in with your left thumb, a little pressure over the top with your right index finger, turn it round, again your left thumb and a little pressure over the top. And here is your nigiri sushi. Wet your hands again, clap off any excess. Pick up some rice, take up the slice of seafood, forming a gentle oblong shape. Pick up a little wasabi into the middle, place your rice on top. Left thumb puts a little pressure on the top, your right hand just puts pressure on the ends. Your fingers are coming up on the side. Then turn it all over, and then we're going to give it a gentle squeeze as it comes back. Left thumb under to indent, right finger over the top with a little pressure. Turn the whole around, again a little squeeze, and then across the top with your right index finger, and there we have nigiri sushi. So let's put it all together onto a plate. Typically, the sushi will always be served with a little gari or pickled ginger. Remember, this is what we use in order to cleanse the palate in between different types of seafood. Now that we have all this sushi before us, it begs the question, how do you eat it? Well, quite simply, we take the soy sauce, and very importantly, you would never take the nigiri sushi and just simply place it in right side down straight into the soy sauce, because it's going to collapse. The idea is, and it's quite fine to use your fingers because it started off as a finger food, either turn it completely over to brush the seafood through the soy sauce or just on its side, and then 1 or 2 bites straight in. Beautiful. As an alternative in the home situation, a very easy way to make nigiri sushi is to pre-form some little fingers of rice, all of a similar size and shape. Pre-slice your seafood. We have the wasabi. All you need to do is dab, dab, dab onto each one of them, and then just simply place the seafood over the top. A little firm, a little firm, and so on. And what you're going to end up with is a beautiful nigiri sushi. Very soft in the mouth. Who would know? Let's move away from nigiri sushi now and onto another great presentation of sushi, maki sushi. This literally means rolled sushi. It's available in either a hosomaki or thin style, or futomaki, which means thick style, depending on whether we use a half sheet or a full sheet of nori seaweed. Maki sushi is where we use our bamboo sushi mat and features nori seaweed. It's important to note that with the nori seaweed there's a shiny presentation side and there's a less shiny, rougher side. Typically when we're using nori sheets for making maki sushi, The shiny side goes down first because after we've rolled it, it's there as the presentation side. We're going to start maki sushi with hosomaki or thin roll. For that, we're going to need a half a sheet, and quite simply you just fold it in half and then tear it into 2 pieces. Each half sheet will yield 1 roll. Spread out your bamboo mat. The shiny side goes down, and now wet your fingers because the rice is very sticky. Clap off any excess. We're going to get about 80 grams of prepared sushi rice, and then we're going to place it onto our seaweed. We need to leave a gap of seaweed at the top of about 1 centimetre, at the bottom of about half a centimetre, and then just spread along, trying to keep it as even as possible. Keep wetting your hands as is required. Having done that, you now make a little groove in the middle. We're going to take some wasabi and spread it all the way across. First hosomaki that we're doing is tekkamaki, which means tuna roll. We'll take some tuna here, place it across directly onto the wasabi, a little bit more, and now we're going to roll. You need to lift up the mat closest to you with your thumbs, holding the ingredients in with your fingers, and then we're going to fold it over so that the rice hits the rice and the seaweed touches the seaweed on the far side. Lift up the mat, continue the roll over, and now we firm in the ends. Very gentle pressure. You don't need to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze because we want it to be soft in the mouth. And there is our first hosomaki. Let's do it again, this time with cucumber. This is known as kappa maki. Take your prepared half sheet, shiny side goes down. Now I have some julienne sticks of cucumber, I have some shiso leaves, a Japanese herb, some umeboshi plum paste, just for something different, and some sesame seeds. But again, we need to start, wet your hands, clap off any excess, pick up your rice, and then place it onto your seaweed. So working from one side to the other. Leaving a gap at the top and also at the bottom. Try and keep it fairly even. Wet your hands as required. Make a groove with your fingertips. Pull the nori sheet back towards the edge of the bamboo mat. A little wasabi goes all the way across. And now we're going to put a little bit of umeboshi plum paste as well. It's very strong, so only a little bit is required. Sprinkle with some sesame seeds. We'll put down some shiso leaf. And now our cucumber. Again, with your thumbs, just pick up underneath the sushi mat, fingertips to hold in the ingredients, simply turn it over, and then rice will meet rice. Give a little firm, lift up, continue the roll over so the far side of the nori seaweed is now at the bottom. A little gentle firm, lift up, push to one side to firm in the ends, and again, firm in the ends. And here we have another hosomaki. Now, in order to cut these, what you'll need to do is wet your knife. Typically, you dip the tip into the tezu or hand vinegar water. You lift the knife up so that the bead of water is now running down the blade of the knife. Typically, these hosomaki will yield 6 bite-sized pieces. Cut them in half first, half to half, and then you're going to cut each half into 3 pieces. just like that. Repeat again with the cucumber. Dip your knife in, into half, half to half, and then each of these into 3 equal pieces. And there we have our hosomaki. Now let's move on to futomaki, or thick rolled sushi. Prepare all the ingredients as per the recipe in the book and then lay them out in front of you. For our futomaki, we're going to use a whole sheet of nori seaweed. Put this across your bamboo sushi mat or makisu. And we're going to need about 2 cups of cooked sushi rice. Remember to wet your hands all over, shake off the excess, and then gather your rice. We're going to put the rice down, in this case, covering most of the nori seaweed, but we want to leave about 2 centimetre gap up the top end. Keep wetting your fingers as required. And then we're just evenly spreading the rice out over the entire sheet. Try not to push too hard at this stage, because later on when we actually roll it all up, that's when we do the compressing. So just gently spread it out as evenly as you possibly can, going to the edges, all the way to the bottom, and then a little gap just up the top end. Now, first of all, I'll use a little mayonnaise, Japanese mayonnaise, to go across. Here I have some blanched spinach. I have some cooked omelette. Here is the kampyo, the pith from the gourd, which has been cooked in a seasoned liquid. And I'm just sort of alternating colours here. Next I have some salmon fillet, so we'll pop that down. And some shiitake mushrooms. So we're just putting them in rows across the rice. Now we have to roll it up. So again, the nori seaweed, bring it to the back of the sushi mat, bring that close to you. Use your thumbs to go under, and here you'll certainly have to use your fingertips to hold the ingredients in. We're going to turn it over so the rice meets the rice on the other side of the ingredients. So a little push to firm, and then we just simply lift up the mat, continue the roll over. Now we're doing the firming. Push it up to one end and then just firm in the ends. Again to the other side. When I was a child, my mother used to entertain her guests by making makizushi, and she didn't know about firming in the end, so sadly my brother and I were only ever allowed to eat the ends, those which were collapsing, and all the guests were allowed to eat the better cuts from the middle. So here we have futomaki, our thick rolled sushi. Typically with the hosomaki we cut it in half and then each of those halves into 3 to yield 6 bite-sized pieces. These we cut into half and then each half into 4 slices. Again, remember to dip your knife into the tezu, hold it up so the bead of water will run down the end. In half, and then each of these we're going to cut into 4. Cut them into half first, and then each of those into half again. And here we have futomaki. Let's try another style of futomaki known as uramaki sushi, literally inside out roll. We're going to make a California roll. For this, pre-prepare the ingredients as per the recipe in the book, have them laid out before you. We're going to have some Japanese mayonnaise, the cucumber, crab meat, avocado, and I like putting a little bit of slivers of pickled ginger inside as well. To start, you need to cover your bamboo sushi mat with some plastic wrap. We take a whole sheet of nori seaweed and then we're going to place that down, wet your fingers, rub them all over, clap off any excess. This time with our sushi rice, we want to cover all of the nori seaweed. So from top to bottom, from left to right. Keep wetting your fingers as required. If you have too much, just simply put it back into your container. So a nice even spread of rice. Don't compact it too tightly, just nice and gentle. Now having done that, we need to now flip all of this over so the rice is on the plastic and the nori seaweed is facing upwards. There we go. Now we take our mayonnaise all the way across, about 1/3 of the way up. Some crab meat. This was actually created by a sushi chef in California, hence the name California roll. Little did he know it was going to be so well loved. Some cucumber. A little avocado. A little bit of ginger, just a little bit. Nice little bursts of flavour in your mouth. Now we need to roll this up. Be careful not to roll the plastic into the roll. So again, pull it back towards you, thumbs underneath, and we're going to hold the ingredients in with our fingers and then just simply turn it over, and then we need to firm back a little bit. Lift up the mat and the plastic wrap and continue to roll over. By now, it should be all the rice is on the outside. We need to firm the ends in again. And there we have our California roll. We're going to cut this in half first. I'll just cut through the plastic. There are a couple of presentations you might like to do. One is to simply roll the sushi in some tobiko or flying fish roe, and also as an alternative I have here some pre-toasted white sesame seeds. So at this stage we'll unwrap the California roll, wet your hands, and again with the sesame seeds. So we get a nice even coating all over. And now we're going to cut them. So remember to dip your knife into the tezu, lift the blade up. Typically these would be cut into 4 pieces. I might take a slice off the end here, and instead of cutting straight down, an alternative is to cut at an angle so that you have a different means of presentation. Wipe in between, again. And there we have our California roll, some with flying fish roe on the outside, some with sesame seeds. Let's put it together with our other makizushi. And here we have our presentation of makizushi. We have futomaki, hosomaki, and uramaki. Well, we've done thin-rolled sushi and thick-rolled sushi and even an inside-out rolled sushi. But there's another style of nori maki which doesn't use the bamboo mat. Simply it's rolled in the hand and it's known as temaki zushi. For this we're going to use a half sheet of nori, and typically we're going to put our rice on one end, put our ingredients on top of that, and the rolling process is to lift this bottom corner up over the ingredients so that it actually meets the top line. And then we're just simply going to continue the roll around to result in a cone shape. Let's have a go. For this, you'll need to keep your left hand dry and dampen your right hand. You're going to take about 60 grams of rice into an oblong shape, place it on the left hand side, and just with your finger, just make an indent into the middle. In here we have some wasabi. I'm going to put a shiso leaf, the Japanese herb, some salmon. Here we act quite quickly so the moisture doesn't soften the nori too much. I have a little shiitake mushroom, some cucumber shreds. I think a little bit of mayonnaise is good. And a little bit of pickled ginger again. So here, I need to take this bottom left-hand corner up over the ingredients quickly and then up to meet the top edge. I'm firming in around the rice and now I'm just simply rolling it around. And here we have our temaki zushi. These are wonderful because they're only ever made to order and you eat them straight away. The nori seaweed is still crisp. Simply to eat it, you just take some soy sauce, sprinkle over a little bit, and away you go. Now there is another type of sushi which is rolled, which doesn't use nori seaweed. These are known as bo sushi, which means a cylinder or a pole. Typically we're going to make tazuna sushi. Follow the recipes in your book to produce your ingredients and lay them out in front of you. The first thing we need to do is cover the bamboo sushi mat with some plastic wrap. And here I have some prawns, the slivers of cucumber and some blue eye slices of fish. Also a little bit of pickled ginger. We need to place these onto the mat diagonally, alternating in colour, and then we're going to put some rice over the top of that and simply roll it up. Let's start. So I'm starting here with some prawn at an angle, and then some cucumber, then some white fish. Again, prawn, strips of cucumber, and some white fish. And we just repeat this going across. Now we take a little wasabi and we're just going to dab a little bit across the seafood, just lightly. And now a little bit of pickled ginger, just a few slivers. Now we need to form our rice into a cylinder shape, maybe 3 centimetres or so across in diameter, but long enough to go right across the sushi mat. And having done that, we'll just simply put it directly on top. Don't firm too hard, just try and get a fairly even shape. Now we need to roll. So simply Use your thumbs underneath. We're going to roll it completely over and firm gently. Lift. Firm gently. Now it should be that all the seafood is on top, and in fact the rice should be underneath. There we have it. So now firm the ends in, and this is our tazuna, or roped coiled sushi. Typically we let this sit for some few minutes in order for it to set in shape. When it is time to slice it, we slice through the plastic and not as small as you might with your hosomaki. So typically if you were, for your presentation, wanting to have some red, some green, some white, some red, some green, some white for each of your guests, then we'll need to slice this in fact into 3. And now, very gently unwrap. And here is our bowl sushi, tazuna sushi. The next presentation of sushi we're going to do is chirashi sushi, or scattered style. Simply, it's going to be a bowl within which you're going to mix some either cooked or raw ingredients all together and then arranged artistically. We're going to start with edomae chirashi, which comes from Tokyo. Here the rice is placed into the bowl first, and we're going to place all these ingredients over the top in an artistic presentation. Remember to wet your hands, rub them together, clap off the excess. Just pack it in loosely, don't firm it down. Here are our prepared ingredients. We have the oboro, which is the cooked fish flakes. Just scatter this over the top, not too much, just a little bit. We're going to follow that with some kampyo. And then some nori seaweed, just cut into strips, just loosely positioned over the top. The next ingredients are shiitake mushroom, our cooked prawn, the omelette, and some snow peas. I'll call this the back, and we need to position these at the back. Here is the shiso leaf. Place the shiso down, just going across the middle. And then we have some prepared seafood, some salmon, tuna, and some blue eye. These we just lean up against the shiso leaves. And then it's just simply a matter of finishing with a little garnish. Here I have just some cucumber, perhaps a little bamboo leaf. This is a little butterfly made out of carrot. Always finish with some wasabi, just a little mound. Tuck it in there, and some pickled ginger. Really very easy once all the ingredients have been pre-prepared. And this is edomae chirashi sushi. The next presentation of chirashi sushi we're going to do is known as bara chirashi sushi. This one comes from the Osaka area. Similar ingredients to what we've used before, but we've presented them a little differently. Let's see how. Firstly, we take our sushi rice, and into this we're going to put our chopped ingredients. Some shiitake mushroom, the kampyo, takwan, the pickled radish, some chopped cucumber, a little pickled ginger, some sesame seeds, and al nori. Now all of this we need to mix together. So dampen your hands and then just very loosely mix, mix, mix. Try and get each of the ingredients evenly spread through the rice. Keeping it all very loose. Now we take our bowl and we're going to put this rice into the bowl. Again, just very loosely. Now the seafood that we saw in the Tokyo version is over here, but it's chopped. What we need to do is now mix that into a bowl, and we're going to combine that with some flying fish roe, some tuna, some salmon, all diced up. Here we have our white fish, and we'll put in a good spoonful of tobiko and mix, mix, mix. Now that we're going to spread out over our rice. Isn't that a beautiful colour? The sweetened omelette that we saw in the Tokyo version, for this Osaka version we've slivered it. That gets scattered over the top of the fish. And to finish it off, we have some nori seaweed. This has been lightly toasted over a flame to bring out the flavour and make it a little bit crunchier, and we just simply break it up all over the top. Now to finish our butter chirashi sushi, a little wasabi and some pickled ginger. And there we have butter chirashi sushi. Congratulations, that's simply sushi. You should be feeling more confident now with what sushi is and better equipped to do an excellent job in your own home. Invite your friends over, have fun, relax. Don't be too disillusioned if your first attempts aren't as wonderful as you might like them to be. Remember, organisation is the key and practice makes perfect. It's appropriate at the end of the meal to give thanks with Gochisousama deshita. I'm Steven Pallet. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you again sometime.